Uh, uh,
Who are you people?
oh, my. All right, guys, we'd like to welcome you to the Mad Maker Show. My name is Eloy. I'm the host. The other host is over there, JP. And I just want to mention a couple of things. We have a special guest today, Sarah Connor, Wartooth Designs. And we're going to ask her a bunch of questions. If you have questions, feel free to ask. JP will look them over and let Sarah know what the deal is, and she can answer that. For those of you visiting us for the first time, this is the Mad Maker Show. There is no show, none, that is quite like this show on YouTube. Ever. Not because of me, not because of JP, although maybe yes, but because we're focused on the backstory, inspiration of makers. Well, heck, I can't. You know what? I'm not going to be abusive. There's also Makers International and a bunch of whatever. But the show is pretty darn cool because we focus on the life experience of makers. We can't touch on everything, but we try to touch on key points that are inspiration that we could take with us. So, for those of you visiting for the first time, Mad Maker Show, you could check out the madmakershow.com and check out previous episodes, write-ups with links to all the cool stuff that these people do. So we interview people that create from just different mediums. It could be drawing, art, in general, electronics. It could be woodworking, kind of sort of mainly woodworking when you get down to it. For some reason, there's like a big focus on woodworking. But, we do it all. CNC, if you're into that sort of thing. Turners, So that's all I got to say. And I'll pass it on to JP Woodworks.
Eloy, that's got to be the best intro you've ever done in the amount of shows that we have done. Good Lord. Right, yeah, JP Woodwork. Don't worry about my channel, it's irrelevant. Yeah, there's a little bit of news going on in the community, but I don't know if I should tell you because to be honest, it's almost useless. And that even might be a bit of a hint. Javi and Zwetter from Javi's Woodshop is starting the almost useless challenge again. So I think you just got to come up with a wacky idea and make something that's almost useless. So that's about it. So you go over to Javi's Woodshop's YouTube channel and find out more details. Back to you, Eloy.
All right. Well, listen, a couple of other things I want to throw in there is that we just wrapped up the 2018 Makers Rock Challenge. And it was there were over 30 some odd makers involved, and they did album cover reproductions from the 90s, and it was just rock and roll all the way, right?
I'm warning you.
Oh, why, thank you for reminding me. So, there's a lot of stuff out there. There was a great, I'd like you to check out JP's version of Tubular Bells. Is it JP?
I'm putting it on listed as we speak.
No, you can't do that. So we just wrapped up that, and I did a what do you call those, response reaction videos to JP's, it was good stuff. So anyhow, we'll leave that to the side. I do want to also mention Harnealmedia. They sponsor us, our website. Check it out, Harnealmedia.com. So, by the way, I'm playful today. It's just I have not been drinking an amber beer or two, but I want to welcome Sarah Connor, Wartooth Design.
Hi, thanks for having me. I have actually not been drinking at all. Surprising. I've been drinking tea because I don't feel good.
Me too. I just said I have not been drinking an amber beer.
Not been drinking.
Yeah.
Out of a solo cup.
Oh, tea. Crap.
I have my man crafted mug.
Nice. Thank you guys for having me on here. It's always fun to get to rant. And I feel like the Mad Maker show, I feel like part of it's like mad, and mad like crazy. So I think I might fit in.
Oh, it is.
Pretty well. Like half and half.
See, I like to lean towards the crazy mad. And although there is elements of mad like mad, but still, I like to try to divert towards the path of just crazy loco mad as opposed to the stab him,
angry.
Stab him.
I only get really upset about a couple of things, but we'll keep it cool. We'll keep it crazy mad this time.
Well, we'll delve in. We'll begin. Actually, let's start like this. So I met you maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's about right?
Yeah, it's all right.
And we would hang on hangouts with JP and a bunch of the other cats.
Yep.
And I found that you draw, sketch, create, art, and I think other mediums too with clay, and you just branch out. So we want to get to know more. And I know you have a Twitch where you show people, step by step as you go, and it's just like a hangout sort of situation as well. But before we get it, and by the way, I'm curious how many of you guys out there know Sarah Wartooth Design? Okay, I'm sure everybody knows you already, but whatever.
I see, like in the chat, they're keeping it like potatoes, like a.
So we'll start with that. But I do want to go Quentin Tarantino and go back and ask you a few other questions. But we'll start with that. What's up? Why potatoes? Can you give us a little bit of that theme? Why you started with that?
Well, the clever answer is I think potatoes are awesome. The not clever answer is I can't draw human beings very well. And I would usually, like a long time ago, like probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I would do these things on my Facebook, my personal Facebook. And there would be drunk doodles. And it was kind of like to keep me on edge, to like kind of move out of my comfort zone with drawing. So I would have people say stuff and I would interpret it and then I would draw it however I felt the need to draw it. And people kept requesting for me to draw them doing something. And because it was, like a quick 2-minute drawing, I didn't want to draw a person. So I drew these like little blobs and they just turned into potatoes. And then all of a sudden it just went whoosh, like took off. So I kept doing it.
That's totally awesome. So people started requesting and stuff. And so now before that, you've been doing art, drawing, sketching, painting, all that, and you also use not only like physically, but you use, I remember you have like a tablet.
Mm-hmm. I have a drawing tablet. You can't see it, but it's a 21.5-inch drawing display. Mm-hmm. So basically I can draw directly on the thing on the screen. And I use that for my digital illustrations. And I also do graphic design. I do stuff like that. But my my drawing and my painting and all that like traditional art started like I've been doing it forever, for as long as I can remember. But I really, really, really started to hone in and concentrate on it like probably 5 years ago. I was like doing it daily, and that's where it just kind of like took off. And it's weird because the job I have now, I was discussing this with somebody else. And they're like, well, how do I get, in a job that does this or this or this or this? And I was like, let me say this slowly to you. I was found because I draw potatoes in pea-stained underwear. So do your thing and do it well and be consistent with it. And that's kind of how I just took off.
That actually comes to a quick question from Doc. Why have all the potatoes pissed themselves?
I really don't have a good answer for that. Because it's hilarious. Like, they're all in whitey tighties, and they've all had a little bit of pee problems. Like,
so there's no necessarily like a whole backstory. It's just it evolved, and you're having fun with it. It's just a fun pop culture. It's it's become like a pop culture thing, right?
Yep.
Like there's not some, or is there some deep, is there something we should know further down?
The original, the OG potato came from, I used to do a lot of costume building, prop making, stuff like that. And we used to do hangouts, kind of like we do hangouts for, the group and stuff. And a friend of mine, like that's, I guess, kind of where all of this started, is I would do little drawings while we were just doing the hangout of things I overheard. And one of my friends was Irish. So I drew him as a little Irish potato with lots of pubic hair and lots of like butt hair and little cowboy boots. And that was like the very first potato I ever drew. And that kind of like, that was part of it. I don't know why.
Now, with the and let me ask this. So with your sense of humor and irreverence, right, to a point, although I don't think you're irreverent, but in art, I think it's important to push that envelope. Depending on the person, further, pushing it further and not as much and whatnot. But isn't the purpose, or one of the purposes of art, is to sort of explore, territories that might make some people, like, do people come up and say, well, how dare you do a
So I have a story about that. I'm sorry for my voice and if I keep like coughing or like clearing my throat. So I sell my artwork at conventions, and I do a lot of really they're almost a little bit uncomfortable drawings. Like I have, like the penis stickers and like the poop and pee and just like all the things that a 5-year-old basically would think was funny. And I have these stickers, and they're called. Am I allowed to cuss on here? Can I cuss? No. Anyway,
we try to keep it to a minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a crap, and it's dumb crap. And this little kid walks up. Kid couldn't have been more than 6, and he has this like completely disgusted look on his face. And he looks at my display, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Is that poop?" And I was like, yes, it is. He's like, "That's gross," and like just takes off.
That's hilarious.
And I like, adults usually kind of, they don't express it, I guess, that it's gross or weird. If you don't like it, and walk away. But the kids are just like, they either love it or they think it's absolutely disgusting. And
wow.
Yeah, and then I agree with like pushing with my personal, like my illustrations and stuff. I usually, it's out of what I want to draw. It's out of whatever is in my head or whatever I overhear or see or whatever, like anything like that. But my graphic design and other stuff that I do for my my day job is very much out of my comfort zone and very much pushes me like every day to do something different and more creative that I don't have any idea what I'm doing or how I'm doing it.
What a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you would agree then that at least one of the purpose, there's so many, and then again, it doesn't necessarily have to have a purpose, just the fact that one gets up and creates a thing and other people see it, whatever their reaction, whatever their, they go away with from that. I mean, that's its purpose itself. Mm-hmm. But pushing the envelope is a good thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and these are things, the stuff I draw are things that you don't see every day. Like, you go to a convention and you see 100 Spider-Man illustrations, whether they're little tiny, cute, chubby ones or they're very drawn out, illustrated ones. But you don't ever really see a Spider-Man like in underwear, like with nipples. Like it makes people a little uncomfortable, but it also makes them like happy. Like the people that like it really like it. So that's what I'm out there for.
Yeah, I've always thought, like, so there's all these, like the surreal and just abstract concepts or just mixing things that don't belong together. Yeah. As far as art, I find it totally an acceptable thing, right? Because I've always thought that or at least for me, the purpose of art is to give you a notion. It's not starting a religion or, anything to that nature.
Little do you know, I haven't started a potato religion.
Well, that might be next, right? But yeah, the point that I'm making is that just for the sake of itself, but some people see a thing and it's like shocking. Like, could you? Like, imagine all those painters back in the day drawing all the nudes and all that. Oh, the thought of it, So there's people that are shocked by these things, but it's in its own category. It doesn't mean, you know, that the end of the world or whatnot, but there's people that feel this way. I don't know if I'm stretching there, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, my stuff is more goofy. Like I draw things that I overhear a lot of times, or that I see, or, you know, like just anything goofy that I happen to pick up on. And I'll pick up on like the single dumbest phrase. Like somebody could just say something like completely off the cuff and it's like 5 words. And then I just like do a whole illustration on it. Like that's what I think is funny. And the stuff I do is more, it's definitely goofy. Like, and I think it's just something that people haven't seen, which is, I like it and it works. And it makes people happy. Like that's another thing that really kind of motivates me to keep doing it. People see it and they're like, you know, they love it. So that works.
Give us a little bit about, so all of us start off in school and in life, you know, doodling, you know, as kids and all that. And some people, I guess they just stop, and other people like really take that road and explore it. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, you as a kid, art, inspiration, a memory or two? Just give us some background in the context of you exploring or you walking down that avenue of art, which, by the way, last thing I'll say about that, it to me is totally the most, for me, is very important. The ability to be able to breathe. I look at art as the ability for one to, you know, all the reality of the world. I understand we all live it, but art, it's a moment to breathe, you know, so very important. So can you take us, you know, early thoughts and all that?
This is going to sound super depressing, but this is actually how I came to be where I am today with art. I had a really crappy childhood and my parents pretty much ignored me 90% of the time. So I could always find a pen and a piece of paper or a pencil and a piece of paper, and it was cheap and it was everywhere. So I just picked it up and nobody told me otherwise of how to do this or do that. So I just started drawing. And basically what I tell people is I picked up a pencil and I just never put it down. And I hear all the time, I wish I could draw. I wish I could do that. And people always ask, you know, how do you draw, or ask for advice? And I literally hand them a pencil. I smush it around in their hand and I say, start and don't stop. And I mean, even if you look, I'm 30, I'll be 36 this year, I think. And you look at my artwork from 2 years ago and it's improved just in 2 years. I mean, I've been doing this forever. So I just picked it up and didn't put it back down. And I'm always doing something different, always learning new techniques, always trying something different with my drawings, like, you know, adding highlighting or shading or drawing on different paper or different mediums, or, you know, I do everything. Like I have, there's actually clay stuff sitting beside me right now that I'm working on, and just don't be scared to fail and just do it. Like that's the only thing I know how to say with my art, as I guess I did it and I didn't have any fear doing it, even if it was terrible. I would always just go ahead and just finish whatever I was doing.
So for those people, so they take that advice, and so what would you say to people that have been drawing, illustrating, and they want to sell their stuff, but they feel like, well, I'm not there yet? It seems to me there's always the I'm not there yet in life, with everything, right?
Yes.
And that blocks us. Give us a little bit of what do you think about that?
So last year, I write myself a motto every single year. This year's motto is absolutely no excuses. Every time you throw an excuse out there, is it really an excuse, or is it something that you're scared of, or something that you just don't want to confront? And there's some personal reasons behind that, but that's like my biggest thing. It's like, what is my excuse? We're not doing these things. And last year's motto kind of changed my life. It was finished, not perfect. And to go back with you saying, you know, oh, I want to sell my artwork, I want to do this thing. There, you go to any craft show, any store, any Etsy page, any like, just literally just pick anything anywhere. Somebody's made something themselves, and you're going to have people that are always better than you, You're going to have people that are always crappier than you. Like, I shouldn't say crappy, that's not nice. Who are less skilled as you are. But the fact is, it's finished. I finished this thing. It's not perfect, but I finished it and I'm learning from it and I'm going to move on to the next thing. And it's like, if you don't do it, you're missing out. Because I know with my own work, there are people out there who love it and really enjoy it. And some of my, more professional work and my goofy work, and it's, so what if somebody doesn't like it or doesn't think it's professional? Like somebody could look at my artwork and go, that's just a doodle, whatever, I could do that. Well, good, go do it. I don't care. And so put yourself out there. Somebody's going to like it and somebody's going to hate it. But the fact is it's finished and you did it. That's like, so that falls along the lines. This is where I guess the mad maker maybe comes in. It's a little bit of a rant about modern art. I watched this whole thing about white paint, white paintings. And it was basically these artists were creating these canvases, and all it was white canvas. It was white paint. And a person came on the show, and they said it's basically the principle of they did it, and you didn't. And that's why they're in an art exhibit. And I was like, oh! Nice. So that's why I just do it. Like, I don't necessarily, I'm not a fan of modern art. I don't care for it that much, but that person did it. That's why they're a piece of white. I'm trying to be nice. So that's why their white canvas is in a museum or an art show, and mine isn't because I didn't do it. So do it. Whatever you're doing, do it. Like,
I think if that resonates with people, because you know how it is, right? So you just said that, and that's pretty powerful, right? But some people, maybe not today, but eventually that resonates, or it resonates automatically. It just depends on what station a person is in life. But to me, that's super powerful, right? And no matter what medium that you're working with, be it, art, woodworking, or whatever the heck you're doing. So that's like a tremendous gift there. Food for thought right there. It's funny because earlier today, Ryan Bitters posted in that group, what's the group? Makers Wanted, a white. Did you see it? Like a
the white is like, here's absolutely nothing for you guys, and that made me think of the whole thing about the white canvas.
Well, I back in the day, as young adults or kids, we used to play in bands, and I always had the feeling of like, well, crap, there's Led Zeppelin, there's the Beatles, there's Pink Floyd, there's all these bands, they've done all these things. It's like rock and roll all the way. So everything's kind of been done, and I was like, why not just put out a record and there's nothing on it? I mean, like, there's too much information out there, right? Just start blank, right? And then work your way up with like one little note. Bing. But yeah, the thing to take away from that is that freaking do it.
Yeah.
If it's your intention. Hell yeah.
It's that whole finished, not perfect. And I see a lot of artists, I have trouble being part of some art communities because they have this, like, I always thought I had really bad crippling self-doubt, and I always thought I had really bad imposter syndrome, but some of these people are just like completely seized up, and they won't finish a piece of artwork, and they won't draw for weeks and weeks and weeks or whatever they're doing because they're so scared of that one piece. I was like, there's more paper in the world. There's more canvases. There's, wasted paint is not wasted only if it's left in the tube. That's when it's wasted. And so finish it, because then you learn from it, you can grow from it, and you can then look back on it and go, okay, these are the things I did right. These are the things I did wrong. Let's make a new one.
Nice.
Yeah.
JP?
Yeah, that's my name. Use your own. Right, yeah, we've got a few questions.
I feel like I'm so passionate. I'm sorry.
No, that's perfect. I mean, we want that,
There's a question from Javi. He says, have you ever drawn a potato? He's expecting the answer to be yes, by the way. A potato in a thong that's gone completely lost in the crack.
Yes. Not even any hesitation. Yes.
I think that was actually Andy Berkey as well.
Yeah, with the sock.
Whoa! Wait a second.
Sock. It never saw the light of day.
Oh, see, the good stuff is always kept away from us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Julian Martinez has a couple of questions. It says, how long have you been drawing? Did you take classes or did you just start doodling and run with it?
Yes, all of the above. So I have been drawing, I would say professionally been drawing for probably around 10 years. I have been drawing and have been, doing artistic stuff my entire life. I did go to college. I went to college for, I don't remember what I went to college for. It was art, graphic design, art, web design, all that's good stuff. But to be quite honest and frank, the college course is not for everybody. And with design, I've seen people who blow me out of the water leaps and bounds and have never stepped foot into a classroom. Basically, what classes will teach you is some things like, structure and professionalism and you'll learn some things in college that you won't learn, on your own. But now with the glory of the internet, I think a lot of it's out there for anybody to learn for free. And I actually learned from a course online more about Illustrator than I did an entire semester in college. So, I mean, it's out there if you want it and you want it bad enough.
Wow. Because I could say that that the internet does help quite a bit. I'll tell you what. Yeah. And
there's always somebody out there, one of the main artists who kind of inspired me to run with my weird style. His name is Poopbird, which I know it kind of falls along the same lines of my style. I messaged him on Instagram. I said, hey, I really love your stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Talk to him at conventions. I like how we have 2 JPs now. That's awesome.
Yeah, my computer just blue screened. It died.
Oh, no.
Jeez, that's why you were just sitting there frozen.
So
that's terrible.
Got it up here, the questions. So.
Oh, my gosh.
Wait, let me raise your volume, JP. I've got control. Can you keep... What the heck happened to JP? Oh, he's there. Can you talk a little loud? Just talk for a second, JP?
I've got the questions up here, so don't worry.
Oh, in the computer mainframe?
Yeah.
Okay, I raised your volume.
Up here for thinking, down there for dancing.
Oh my gosh. There we go. Oh my gosh. That's terrible.
Well, this is great. This is how it works,
Yeah, it's a Mad Maker show.
We always say that, Sarah. We always say that. No matter what goes wrong, we can always blame it on the fact that it's the Mad Maker.
And it's funny how we was just talking about Berkey as well.
Yeah, and blame Berkey.
Yeah, you see how that all connects? So we have all the excuses in the world, so it's like no stress. This is like a no stress show. Let it happen.
I dig it. I totally dig it.
The other question was, who is your favorite Batman?
Who is my favorite Batman? Like the movie Batman, or my drawing Batman, or the cat Batman, or that's a huge question. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the cat that's named Batman. I can't think of his name's Cat. And then I'm gonna go with oh gosh, it's the Batman where Jim Carrey plays the Joker. It's the really bad one. I can't remember that Batman.
Isn't that
Batman? No, it's not Batman Forever, is it?
That's Batman, that guy that played Jim Morrison.
Oceans. He's Ocean's 12.
Oh,
Ocean's 11, all that guy. That I'm pretty sure.
Is it the Batman with the nipples?
They all have nipples.
Not all Batman.
Most Batmans have nipples. Well, okay, the couple of the newer ones, or the older ones, didn't have nipples.
But there was one where they went nipple all the way, and it was like, why?
Yes, and that is the studio who built that is Ironhead Studio, one of the newer Batman costumes. And on one of the shows I work on, they talked about the Batman nipples, and it was hilarious. That apparently, yeah. Clooney, there we go. Somebody said it, Clooney. Or Val Kilmer. Clooney's the one I like. Well, Val Kilmer, both of them. I love all of the Batman movies. I actually just watched all of them last week. So.
The other question comes from me. That's why I got it up here. Okay. Eloy has a bit of a fascination with Jake from Northside Custom Crafts Workshop because it's basically the size of an aeroplane hangar. So we've been trying to find someone that's got a bigger workspace than him. So
oh no!
How big is your workspace?
Well, my workspace combined is around 400 square feet. But but my boss's workspace is 10,100 square feet. Does that count?
No,
Nice.
it's yours.
Ah, it's not mine. Anyway, technically I work in there, so
Oh, totally.
All right. So there you go, Eloy.
Okay, cool.
Right, you can carry on now until I get my computer back up and get back to chat.
All right, that's all right, JP. This is how it flows, and good job. Blue screen of death, man, all the way.
Yeah, you can't see it at the moment, but I'm giving the bird to my computer.
That's
It's okay.
all right.
you can feel the vibes. Feel the vibes.
So let me ask you, can you tell us a little bit about your current job? I'd like to, well, because you had a previous gig, but
Yeah.
can you hit us with, if you can, with what's your current gig? Just give us a lowdown on that if you can.
Well, my previous gig, I mean, I can talk about both.
Okay.
I worked for the city, and I was the social media manager and marketing person. Like I did everything. Basically every bit of graphic design for my entire city of the events that they ran, I did, which was insane. And I hated it. It was awful, and I quit. I quit last July, and now I actually work for Thingergy, which is a special effects company out of Hollywood that Frank Ippolito owns. And I know some people in the group and know of him, but he is a special effects makeup artist traditionally, but he does everything. Like he did the creepy Lego, like the realistic Lego head character. He did the Adam Savage's Admiral Akbar makeup and costume. He's done he's done a ton of stuff. But I run all of his social media for all of his empire, and I do a lot of their illustrations and graphic design and any kind of project that might come my way that they don't have somebody at the shop there that does it. I'll take it on. Like I just recently did a bunch of illustrations for something I can't talk about, but I did a just whatever they need. It's fun. I love it. Like I really love my job.
Nice. Yeah, I remember that last year, sometime thereabouts, that you weren't necessarily too thrilled with your job at the time, like a lot of pressures and whatnot.
Hated it. Like basically, I was doing the job of probably 3 people, and I was literally one employee under 6 bosses. I had 6 directors over top of me, and it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare to say the least. So I am a completely different human being. Like I am totally jazzed to go to work every day. Like go to work, literally I sit here, but I mean like I'm jazzed to go to work every day. I'm jazzed to do what I do. And, working for Frank is a totally, completely different world. Like he, if I screw up, he'll let me know. It's not this weird, like backstabby, odd thing. He's like, you screwed up. You need to fix it. Okay. Or like, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. Like I make a lot of their t-shirt designs and stuff. And I did one that was more like very proper, very graphic design and very laid out. And he was like, no, more fun. Make it more fun. And so like the next design was literally a dinosaur that was vomiting a rainbow. And that was the final design. So it's a lot of fun working for that company and working for him. I really enjoy it. Nice.
So tell us a little bit about the different, you mentioned clay before. Mm-hmm. So tell us about the different mediums that you use. I know you have already touched upon it, and do you sell your art? I do have links down there with your website and most of your social media. Social. Did you hear me say social?
My social media. Excuse me. I'd like to share it with my social media.
Your social media.
Yeah, I do. I sell all my art. Basically anything that's on Instagram or Facebook that you see is usually for sale. I forget to mention those things. And then I used to do a lot of costumes and prop building. So you can't see anything that I've done. I have sculpted sculpted, molded, and cast an original helmet a couple of times. I've made, I've got like the shelf above me. I've got a Stormtrooper helmet, a Boba Fett helmet, and a Pacific Rim helmet that I've made. I've got, like somebody said something about a clay potato. Like this was something that I was just like totally goofing with, and I made this little potato. So I do stuff like that. I'm not very good at it, but it's one of those things like you just keep practicing and you get better at it. And it's really fun. It's definitely nice to have something. It's totally different to have something physically in your hands and doing it than actual like a digital illustration or even a drawing. So yeah, I really enjoy those kind of things. I used to do a lot of polymer clay. I used to make a lot of jewelry with polymer clay. I'll do a lot of like tentacle earrings, and I've done like little, tons of just little things, like all kinds of pop culture and weird things. Like I'll have to pull up the pictures one day. I've made a lot of weird stuff, like a lot of stuff.
I love the polymer clay. There's a channel, I don't know if you've seen it, and I think I got it wrong last time. I mentioned it to Soph from Make It Soph. I think the name is Diva Draconia. There's a channel, and she goes like horror with her clay work, but what a trip. And I agree with you as far as like you have something on paper and you bring it to the third dimension. That's such a cool thing.
Yeah. Like one of the ways, actually originally how I met Frank was like probably 3 years ago. I was dressed as Pam from the show Archer. And I don't know if you've seen that or not, but she's
a cartoon.
Yeah. Basically she's me with blonde hair. And I'd actually made a prop from the show. It's a mini Jägermeister machine, and the mini Jägermeister machine actually dispensed alcohol. And it was really cool. Like people didn't think it worked because it had a false top on it, but there was actually alcohol inside and the whole thing worked. So, he saw that and he was like, that's really cool, and I've made so many weird things. I see the chat, like people keep saying they want to see the Boba Fett helmet. It's way up there,
can you show it?
Yeah, let me see if I can not show everybody a stomach. This is actually a wasteland version of the Boba Fett helmet. Mm-hmm. I have a whole wasteland, like post-apocalyptic wasteland style.
Oh wow, that is such a trip.
So
don't keep it with us for a little bit so they can vibe off of it. How did you build it?
This is actually done out of Pepakura, which Pepakura is, basically somebody takes a 3D model, breaks it down into a two-dimensional paper structure, and you print the paper structure out, put it all back together, and resin it, Bondo it, and then paint it and seal it. So,
is that? Oh, nice. Can you see through it?
Yeah. It smells really bad.
What's it smell like?
It just smells like sweat and conventions.
I knew you were gonna say that, by the way.
It smells so bad. But yeah, so this is very time consuming. So this whole thing started out as basically like cardstock paper. So yeah.
So well, I'm curious as to that. What was it you said? Pepakura?
It's called Pepakura.
Peppa. Like salt and pepper? Yeah,
like salt and pepper.
So Pepakura. And is there like a software that's like a free download?
Yeah, there is. It's for PC only, which that's probably why I haven't done it ever recently, because I don't have a PC anymore, or Windows based, sorry. Okay. And it's, I think there's a free version that you can't save the file. I can't remember. It's been years since I've done it, but there's tons and tons and tons of different things that you can get and do. I'm proud of these fins. These fins are actually aluminum sheeting.
Oh, nice.
Like you found in your house. And I made them look all rusty.
Oh, it's flashing.
Yeah, there you go.
But wait a second. So how did you make it rusty?
Paint.
Oh, nice.
Paint. Yeah. The whole costume for this, I've got like, it's pretty elaborate. I'll have to post it on my Facebook page again because I haven't posted it in a while. But yeah, this is my favorite.
Yeah, I love the sights and everything. Heck yeah.
Those are actually rat bones.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Like actual rat bones, or that's how you designed it to look like?
No, they're actual rat bones. A friend of mine has a barn, and the owls in the barn eat the rats, and under where the owls hang out, there's like all these rat bones. So she sent me a whole jar of rat bones.
She's got a drawer of rat bones. Wow, that's a story in itself.
Think that, Bobby Duke.
Yeah, Bobby Duke, rat bones.
Yeah, Bobby Duke. What's your problem?
Can't beat Bobby Duke.
With your petrified poop.
Yeah, I got
petrified poop.
I got rat bones on a Boba Fett helmet.
Try rat bones.
Checkmate, Bobby Duke.
Huh.
Oh my gosh.
JP, there was a bunch of questions there. Look, I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry, my computer wasn't working. Everyone's. I can remember one back from a little while ago saying, was it from Sterling, saying, did you pick up any inspiration from the parties at the Atlanta show for your potatoes?
That's a resounding no.
Not that I remember. I probably have some stored in my notes. I keep notes in my phone all the time. Like when I wait, I do. Hold on, I gotta find this. I made a note, and it is from Mackenzie. Hold on. It has something to do with diabetes and a butthole, so I'll just not talk about it.
Oh my goodness.
Mackenzie.
Keep those conversations private.
I know. I'm so sorry. I don't know where my notes are now. But yeah.
Are there any, like, I want you to hit, because I want to ask Sarah a couple of questions, but is there any like rapid fire questions that we could do before I ask her?
Bring on the questions.
From before, because I saw a bunch of them, Jim Bashir's, and a bunch of people asking questions. So.
Just say, Jamie, can you please scroll up?
Jamie, could you please scroll up?
Yes, I can.
You guys are so sassy.
I know. We're always like snappy. Forget you. Sorry, Jim. I know you asked some sort of question. It don't matter none.
Jamie said, have you ever designed any tattoos?
Oh wow, Bales doesn't suck. That's so mean. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Yes, tattoos. I know of 3 human beings on this planet Earth that intentionally have my designs tattooed permanently on their body on purpose. And one of them is sitting right here. So I actually I had a woman, my first commission ever at my first convention ever. She came up to me and loved my artwork and said, "Can you draw this way?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I want to get it as a tattoo." I went, "Okay," thinking, "Yeah, right. You're never going to get this on your body, because who in their right mind would do that?" And 2 years later, she tracks me down at the same convention, pulls up her sleeve, and it's tattooed right there on her forearm. And I was like, "What?" And then last year, another guy, I drew it was a Stormtrooper Squirtle Pokemon, and it was a crossover, and he got it tattooed right on his arm and actually commissioned me to do more because he wants his whole sleeve done it. And I was like, what is wrong with you people? Yes. And then Jamie has his infamous burger.
Yeah.
But not I'm so confused by the Bales question.
Well, what did Bales do? Was that further up, the chat, or because I went and looked and there's no bill. Herb's got a question. He says, what's your most popular drawing? I believe that's the question.
Oh, was it? I couldn't find it.
Ooh, my goodness, popular drawing.
Is that what he said? Let me see if that's correct. What's your most successful drawing? Sorry.
My most successful one, I think, by reaction and people loving it, is actually not a potato drawing. It's actually it's an illustration I did that was all stippling, and it's so weird. Like at a convention, when you look through my book of artwork, like the first two are these incredible, like crazy drawings that took me months and months and months to finish. And then you flip it over and there's like a naked bantha and like a derpy BB-8 and like all this other weird stuff. And like, so the heart illustration I did was a vintage medical illustration of a open heart. And it's all done with dots, just with stippling. And it took me a year to finish. That's the one that gets the most holy crap kind of reactions.
Where can that be seen?
I believe it's on my website and somewhere on my Instagram. I need to post, like, I need to repost some of this stuff.
The website is Wartooth Designs, right?
Yes.
.com.
Yep, which needs to be updated. But yeah, most of the stuff is, the good stuff's on there, just not the recent stuff.
And you have a shop on there as well?
Yeah, I've got an Etsy shop. I got some stuff for sale on my Facebook page too, and that's another. It's in my book of crap that I have to do to update Etsy shop, because I get messages sometimes. Hey, I saw this thing, but it's not for sale. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Do you see yourself? So you know, there's so many avenues. Do you see yourself working in a team environment as your like long goal, or do you see yourself, because some people are quite happy to, you know, add, like, you know, the Lord of the Rings, you had the makeup artist, you had the people that did all the suits, the swords, and all these people coming together to create this massive universe of whatever, or do you want to go the route of this is my line and this is my art, or both of them simultaneously?
I think both of them simultaneously, and I've thought about that a lot over the last, you know, couple of months. I've kind of wedged myself into my job where I'm at now, and I mean that could change tomorrow. But I, you know, fingers crossed, knock on wood, it's not. But I, even if I go and get a 9-to-5 job, I'll still always do my art, because that's my art. Like I'll always do that. But if I am in a position to where I can do that full time, well, yeah, I'm gonna do it full time. And will it burn me out? I have no idea. I don't know. I've never done it before, you know, full time, so I don't know. It may be one of those things that, you know, that's your relaxation, but it also might be, oh, well, I get to do this every day, so that's pretty cool.
Do you price your items and ever look back and say, well, darn, I should have charged more?
Oh, God.
Does that happen?
Every day. Pricing is a constant struggle. And I think if you ask any creative person or anybody who makes anything, it is difficult. And I've learned, since starting my own business, I've learned that pricing is more important. And I actually did, I had to do a quote for somebody last week, and I probably rewrite the email about 6 times, every email that I do, because I go, well, this is what I would charge. And then I have a really good friend, he tells me, he's like, whatever's in your head, add 20% to it. And I was like, I don't like that. So I would rewrite it again. And this last email I recently sent, I go, no, this is what I deserve. This is the work that I'm putting into it. This is everything that's involved in it. And I put this like astronomically high number, which I knew was okay, and I knew it was reasonable. I knew it was, you know, not out of this world, but in my brain I'm going, oh my God, this person's gonna, and I hit send, and the person said okay and gave me a deposit that day. So
that's not, you know, so the thing is that, I guess from my personal thing, I generally just, you know, circumstance and one's, you know, station at the time, I sort of look around the stores and whatnot, and I, you know, and I look myself for the best bang for my dollar and stuff. And then I sort of unconsciously, naturally transfer that to the work that I do to put out to sell. And I could fool myself by not considering the fact that you're spending a truckload of time, and this is not something that's, you know, stamped and pushed out of a conveyor belt. You're creating something that's unique. And so I see how one could, like, for me, that's how that occurs, like, you know, and then you don't want to be overly pricey. I mean, it's really is
very difficult.
It really is. And just the fact that you consider it, like you just said, right? And frankly, like guys, the fact that you have those thoughts going shows that you're concerned about that. So it's not like you're ripping. So you know what I'm saying? It's not
I
that.
never want to like gouge somebody. Now, if somebody's a jerk, well, then they get extra 20% jerk fee. So I don't want to deal with that stuff. But and it's I think with experience and with doing something for so long, I think it's fair to charge a reasonable price because you have that knowledge, you have that base, and it's like, with me, I want to hire somebody to come fix my electrical in my house because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm more than willing to go take my money, fix my electrical, Yeah. And it's different. It's different with those kind of things. I guess that was not a good comparison because my stuff is not critical. It is, my graphic design stuff for somebody's brand is important, and I don't think a lot of people understand that, and that's okay. That's not, that's fine, but it's not required. Like, nobody's gonna lose sleep over not having an illustration of a tentacle holding a taco, but they might lose sleep because their electricity doesn't work in their house.
Right. It's you have basic needs that need to be met when those are the primary things, and then on your next level is, oh, should I go to the movies? Oh, should I buy this or should I buy that? And then it falls into those categories. I totally get it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredible. And so there's also the thing where before things were usually made, well, way before our time, like, the handmade thing, it was kind of like mostly the only route that people could take to, purchase and acquire things. Mm-hmm. But now we have, for the woodworking, for instance, you have a lot of stuff, conveyor belt. I mean, I see on the Facebook groups a lot of the time people posting things. It's a curious thing. The other day, I've seen it twice. So Home Depot or Low, I shouldn't even mention them. The big box stores were selling pallet wood. That's not pallet wood, but it's like, hey, here's your to get that pallet wood look.
I saw that. And that goes with anything. I'm not gonna do it. Jamie, don't let me go down this road.
Who's your nemesis?
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm going to say it. Not going to say it.
Who's your nemesis? Who's your nemesis in this world?
Don't say it.
Nope.
No, don't say it.
But crafting is my nemesis.
Okay, well, we can. But you can.
The penguin.
The penguin.
They have no knees.
But they're cute and they're really soft. Have you seen the inside of a penguin's mouth? It's terrifying. Wet sloths.
I'm glad you said that.
Are also terrifying as well. Wet sloths and the inside of penguins' mouths, horrifying.
But you said the inside of a penguin's mouth.
You can say at the very least that there is an arch nemesis in your field that tries to consume.
Okay, I'll put it this way. And I've made this correlation before. If I need a bookshelf to hold my books, I'm going to go get a shitty bookshelf to hold my books. And I might go to a store that no other woodworker likes to buy a shitty bookshelf to hold my books. Because all I need is just a necessity. I don't care what it does. I care what it does. I don't care how it looks. I don't care how long it's going to last. I just need this problem solved. But I also might go to a local blacksmith who makes custom kitchen knives and spend an astronomical amount of money on a custom kitchen knife because that's what I want. And that's what I am after. And I know it will last and work for a long time and be beautiful. So people have choices, and sometimes they don't always make the best choices. And they end up with the repercussions later because more than likely that bookshelf is going to break on me or look like a piece of crap, or I'll spend 6 hours trying to put it together. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean,
I'll tell you what you did there.
I totally agree with that. I mean, it's good that the options are there because not everybody could. It's such a vicious cycle, right? Isn't it a vicious cycle that we live in? It's totally vicious,
right? Do you know what? Of all places, Poundland, right?
Yeah.
And no joke. What they're doing now is they're selling beer totes, obviously for £1, right? And they're actually using what seems to look like real pallet wood, and they're being cut up on a CNC, and they're just getting normal people just to nail them together. And like, how's anyone supposed to compete with that?
You can't. You can't.
You
And
know?
that's, how's anybody gonna? I feel like this is a slippery slope I'm sliding down. So somebody asked about Pacific Rim in the chat. Sorry, I was deferred. I was leading.
Go ahead. Do it. It's fine.
Somebody asked if I was really excited to see Pacific Rim, and I am. I don't like stuff. I don't like collecting stuff. I don't like things. I'm not a collector. But Pacific Rim stuff, I love. Actually, my shelf up here. I wonder if I can grab it.
Pacific Rim. That's like a cousin shop.
So, isn't it? I collect all the Jaegers and all the kaiju from Pacific Rim. They're the only things that I collect. And so I don't even care if the movie is garbage. I don't care if the movie sucks. I just want to buy more toys because I'm 5.
Beep. Oh, that's delayed.
I don't know what I said. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, moving on from that whole thing. Yeah, I totally get it, But the dollar stores, I mean, so I will stop at a dollar store, and mainly I will purchase packing tape. So I go there for the packing, but you see the aisles full of like glassware. Mm-hmm. I mean, the glass blowers of our generation, if they don't do something funky, they're screwed, right? Because glassware, it's done.
It's everywhere, and it's
done.
You can buy cheap stuff, but then you're also going to have, I think there is a resurgence of people who want more quality things. I think that there's people who are seeking those things out more often than they were 5 years ago, honestly. I think that, as my generation finally gets older, I think that they're going, oh yeah, I really would like a handmade table that's going to cost me an arm and a leg and my firstborn child, because they realize the work in it and they realize what they get now is garbage. So I think that there is a rise in it. I think it's very small and I think it's slow, but I think it's happening.
There's another thing to that though, Sarah, that I've thought, and I've mentioned it a few times, but get this. There's also the fact that in our time, we now have the internet, and people are documenting up the wazoo. So it's like you get to purchase the item from the artist, right? And you have their whole freaking history, video-wise or picture or website. You have all this background information, and I think that's a very special thing. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, so I think that's an added plus where, whereas before you'd have to buy like a book from the artist and say, hey, look, the painting that I bought is featured in this from, the year, 1963. And it was, and now we have all these instantaneous, video formats and whatnot to connect that piece that you purchased. So there's a lot of possibilities out there. You see it with all these people that are part of the community, be it Durest and the rest of them, everybody doing these things. So it's full of hope and possibility, I would say.
And I think also because of the internet, if it wasn't for the internet, I probably would not have near the following that I have. To get my artwork and the style that it's in anything art related in the normal world doesn't happen. It does not exist. My local art community here is all paintings of barns and pictures of chairs. There's nothing like what I do anywhere within 100 miles of where I live. So that is another resource. And I think it's also a really important resource for makers in general, artists in general, is to put your work out there. And I hear this a lot I guess this falls back into the whole, I'm scared to finish my work because I'm scared to screw it up, whatever. And people don't want to put their work out there. And I've got a post sitting, I need to publish it, but it's where I screwed up. Like, and I screwed up this thing like 4 times, like horrifically dumpster fire screwed it up. But, you know, you got to share those things and you got to see, and it'll encourage other people. Like, you know, I have artists that be like, hey, I really like this thing that you did because it shows the progress and the work of it. And that's like a triple effect is you have this thing that you built, you've shown where you screwed up and where the whole process is, and it's out for everybody to see. And it's to encourage people, and it's to add value to whatever you're doing. So it shows you didn't just rip it off from somebody else. It shows that you didn't just, you know, magically appear with this out of nowhere. It shows the process of everything. And I think that that's awesome. I think that that's great. And I wish people could do it.
Yeah, I wonder if there's people out there, I'm sure there is, that, I don't know, they opened their eyes in this world and picked up a pen, for instance, and painted a freaking awesome mural, and it was like, but I think the truth is more so that people doodle and, you know, be it whatever the medium, and build up to a successful whatever that means, right? Because it's an item, and then they're like, wow, that's great, but they don't see all the struggle from you know, behind that. I think it's just totally human. I mean, for goodness sakes, I took a piece of walnut this past weekend and just cut a chunk of walnut, and I wanted to make a skull, and I did this, right? This skull here. Well, this is one of them. Well, this one's not the one, but long story, there were 2 of them, and I posted the picture, and then 2 of my friends, I think it was Patrick's workshop, said, hey, that looks, not this one, but the other one, that looks like E.T. And I tried to cut, all of a sudden my awesome skull thing, and I looked at it and I said, you know what? It's E.T.
Yeah.
So we build to whatever we want to, and I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I also say this as well, is you can't compare your chapter in life to somebody else's chapter on social media, because they may not even be in the same book as you. You don't know what they did to get where they're going, because social media is a carefully curated snapshot of whatever you're doing. Like, I'm not going to put that I woke up this morning with a head full of snot and, you know, stepped on my wiener dog this morning, because that's just, nobody wants to see that on social media. I'm going to be like, oh, I don't feel good. Yay. You know, and then with art, with doing stuff in general, like, you see this finished thing and you're like, oh, cool, that's that finished thing. But you don't ever see how many times they failed to get there, or how many times they screwed up to get there, or their process to do it. And, you know, and I was talking to somebody this past weekend in Atlanta about that. And I made a kind of a promise to myself then that I'm going to start sharing a lot more of my screw ups. I think it's important. I think it's important for a lot of reasons. So hopefully it'll help push somebody to do it, to understand that, you know, somebody came to me and they were like, hey, I'm so inspired that you're doing your own thing and you have your own job and your own gig and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing 90% of the time. So I think it's really important to share those kind of things.
So
it's kind of like the same with me with a scroll saw. Everyone keeps saying to me how good I am on a scroll saw. Fair dues, but I still make mistakes. I mean, I haven't cut myself like Eloy, but I still make mistakes.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, frankly, JP, I love how you took the opportunity for that swipe. But I will, in my defense, I will say that Carl Jacobson has taken the mantle of getting cut on a scroll saw.
He just added to the list.
No, it's not a list.
You go down as the first.
No, it's a trophy that gets passed on. It's moved now. It's in
trophy, Eloy.
Oh God.
Oh, nice. Is that my? That's my trophy. Oh my goodness. You can't. You know. See, you talked about sharing and all that. But look what happens, right? You get a JP totally obliterating you online, and then what?
Well, you know, if you aren't gathering people that don't like what you're doing, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
That's
so.
So you're doing it right, Eloy. If you've got people harassing you, like, then you're doing it right.
So I should just accept it as a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
I forgive you while we're interviewing Sarah. I forgive you, but later on, I'll get your ass back.
It's on like Donkey Kong. You're gonna leave my ass alone.
Oh my gosh.
All right, that's we're going down the wrong path there. So can you tell us a little bit? So we never touched upon this, but can you give us a little bit about your background, where you're from, just a little bit of that, any early memories, art wise, inspiration as you went along the way, like people, artists, or whatever, things that drew your attention culture wise. It doesn't have to be any of those things, but you get the gist of what I'm asking. Just little moments from your past that you could share, and we could, you know.
Wow, that's a super broad question. I know, like, to be totally honest, I don't remember a whole lot before I was about 16 years old, so I couldn't tell you what happened before then. But I did have a high school teacher that really believed in me and kind of like let me do my own thing. And then also the same thing happened in college. I had a professor. College was not a good time for me, and she kind of let me break a little bit of the rules and do my own thing. But she also encouraged me. She was like, you know, you're struggling personally, but let your art do its own thing. You don't have to let that reflect on that. And I grew up in a town that was kind of centered around crafts and art and handmade things. I grew up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and that's a huge lump of craftsmen in that area. Like there's a whole valley that's like dedicated to people who do pottery and woodworking and textiles and all of that. So I think that kind of instills in me the handmade qualities of things and helps me understand that it's not just a thing that I'm making, like it's a skill that I have. And trying to think of the other 15 parts of this question that he asked me.
They could be organic.
Think about unicorns and rainbows.
I know. As for inspiration, I distinctly remember when I wanted to go and I wanted to be an artist. It was actually when I was watching the first Toy Story movie. So whenever that came out, it was like 1999, I think, or 97, somewhere in there. Like, you know, I might have been 95 actually. I don't know. Anybody in the chat want to chime in? I think it was a long time ago. And I remember watching it and I was completely enthralled. I was like, I want to do that. I want to be an animator. I want to be a digital illustrator, a digital animator. I want to make cartoons like this. And that just kind of like pushed me in that direction. And it just kind of all happened. I knew I wanted to go to school for art. I knew I wanted to fall into that. And to this day, like Toy Story is still actually one of my favorite movies ever. I don't do animation because I found out that I don't have the patience for it. But, you know, I found my own path and I did my 1995. Yeah, I knew it was a long time ago. So that's kind of like sparked my inspiration for wanting to do art because I'm like, these people are doing this and this is like, I love this. Like, I think it's cool. And then more recently, as I mentioned earlier, poopbird.com, which is, I love the name, but he draws like my favorite thing that I got from him. Cause basically whenever I see him at a convention, I just like load up on everything. Like I just would like, give me all this stuff. And all of my bathroom is his artwork. And there is a painting in there. It is a Ghostbuster body. So like it's a Ghostbuster in their jumpsuit with a camel head. Like it's the head of a camel. And then there's like tentacles coming up behind it. And I asked him one day and I was like, what's the story behind this? And he literally was like, I don't know. Like he was like, and I was like, that right there. This person is successful. They're doing their own thing. He's a tattoo artist. So he's making a living off of this. And, you know, that I was like, this right here, this is it. That person, I got it. I'm tracking now. So that day, I got home and a friend of mine told me, he's like, draw whatever you want to draw and people will find you that like your artwork. And I went, that's really weird, but okay. And I started to do it. The first thing I ever kind of drew that was my own thing, that was like my own weird brain, like going, I'm going to draw this thing. It was a tentacle holding a Zat gun from Stargate. And that was the beginning. That was the start of this whole path. And here I am today. Like, it's crazy. It's so, like, actually just saying that all out loud is really, like, surreal and really weird. to realize that's where it all started and all came from.
Wow.
Yep.
I going back to one part of what you said that I found interesting, because I kind of, believe that too. That one teacher or professor said that no matter what's going on with your life, do your art.
Yep.
In spite of what's going on, or use that, or don't worry about that. And like, what was it exactly?
No matter, even if you're struggling with your personal life, let your art be an outlet. And she didn't say specifically how. She was basically just saying either focus on what you're doing, whether it's an emotional outlet for your personal life, whether it is a distraction from your personal life, but let your art do the work for you. And I remember we were doing portraits. We had to do a portrait of ourselves. And I am horrible at drawing human faces. Like, it takes me incredibly too long. So this was a nightmare for me. And I didn't like my face. Like, it was just like, blah. And she's like, take a big deep breath. You've got this. Like, there was, this is what you're doing in the moment. And this is what you're focusing on. Let your art kind of just take away everything that's going on in your personal life. And that kind of stuck with me. Like, there are nights where, even now, even very recently, where I would have like the worst day. Like, it would just be terrible, whatever circumstances were happening. And I grab my sketch pad and I grab my art bag with my emergency gin in it. And, I just start drawing, or I finish a drawing, or I throw myself into whatever I'm doing. And whether it distracts me from the day, whether it makes me focus, whether it is a release from the stress of the day, whatever it is, me in that moment, everything's okay. Like, everything's all right. Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah. I use that too, that concept, because if I were to sit back and really think about it, so, you could feel all sorts of different things in the course of a day, an hour, or whatever, a week. And if you focus on that, heck, you'll never get anything done, because it's debilitating to think of all the crap, that swarms around. And so what I do successfully for myself, and is I say, okay, well, all this is going down. Well, screw it. I'm still going to go and do this, which I shall do. And it could be an internal doubt, because we all, we're human beings, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can have an internal doubt and say, nah, I can't do that. Or no, I'm not going to do that. I frankly, what I do is I say, screw it and do it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, know? So yeah, I totally agree with that philosophy.
That's like that. My motto is, zero excuses, like absolutely no excuses. I'm having a bad day, but if I want to be a successful artist and continue doing what I'm doing, I can't let that bad day stop me. Like, I can't let that bad day hold me back. I can't let it slow me down. I can't let it grab me by the ankle and take me away from what I'm doing. Like, I have to keep doing what I'm doing. I have to keep pushing forward, because if I don't, I'll never make progress. And I think as an artist and a creator, if you don't physically do the things, you're never going to get better.
Yeah, and one last thing on this topic is that I think that most of us in this community have that, because if you think about it, most people, it's like, life is a tough thing. Life is a tough thing. There's a lot of, and the fact that we can even function, let alone create a thing, is a darn miracle. So I think that the folks out here in the chat, all of us, that we have that knowledge in there at one level or another, because to get anything done, it's like, I see people, they do a thing and they post it in the groups that we belong to, and I'm like, oh yeah, nice, because I'm thinking that person, what they had to go through it,
Yep.
So yeah, it's a good thing. That's a great point. I'm glad that you touched on that, actually. It's an inspiring thing, and it reminds us,
And imposter syndrome is a horrible, terrible, clutching mighty disturbing thing, and we all get it in some little teeny tiny form or big horrendous monstrous form. And I know for me to this is just like my word of advice, I know for me to help get out of that, I heard somebody say something that they they weren't getting from the community that they were part of. They weren't getting enough back. Like, they weren't getting enough attention. They weren't getting enough response, you know. So it was because they weren't giving enough in it. And so whenever I'm really struggling, or whenever I'm having a really bad day when it comes to imposter syndrome or self-doubt, I'll do one of two things. One, I'll go on Instagram and find people who are putting up their first couple drawings, or maybe not that great, or asking for advice, and I'll give them a compliment. I'll give them, be like, hey, glad you posted this. This looks really great, whatever. Because on Instagram, you can only give love. That's why I love Instagram. And the other thing is I make sure to let people know that they're okay. Like, I'll go on, either a group or my Facebook or wherever, and I'll be like, hey, if you're struggling, somebody out there likes your stuff, and you're going to be okay. And like, usually within a couple hours, that I get my crap together and I feel better, So it's, you have to give to get, I think.
I agree with that as well, totally, because, well, you know what? This is sort of esoteric in a way, but yes, I agree with it, because it comes back to you. What you put out also informs yourself inside. And, well, heck, love to me is the thing. You put it out there, and it comes back to you. It enriches you. It allows you to function. So
yep.
you may be doing something for another person, but in truth, you're actually doing it for it's funny to say that, but you're actually doing it for yourself.
It is. But it's I might be having a really, really tough time, a really bad day, and I see somebody say that they're struggling, and then, hey, you're doing all right, thumbs up, keep going, kid. And I'm like, yes, all right, I got this, So it's that give and take, I really think is important, and encouraging each other, I think, is really, really, really important for the community.
Brilliant. Awesome. JP, any other questions there?
There was one from Jim Bashir's. He wants to know why you don't have a Tennessee accent. I'd like to know what a Tennessee accent sounds like.
Okay, so my parents are one's from New York, one's from Massachusetts, so I didn't grow up in a household with a Southern accent. And to be quite honest, I actually hide it. If I get drunk or if I get mad, my Southern accent will come out. But to me, this is zero offense to anybody who is Southern. I still live in Tennessee. A lot of people interpret a Southern accent with being not the swiftest of person out there. So I always hid it.
Yeah, those Yankees, man.
Yeah, I've always hidden my Southern accent, just to kind of blend in a little bit more. That was yeah.
But what does it sound like?
You'll just have to Google that, Jamie.
Come on, Eloy, you can do it.
No, I'll just go extreme, like just ridiculous extreme. But I did visit Gatlinburg when I was a little kid. We did a family outing, and we drove all up and down the southern states, and we stopped at Gatlinburg, and it was fantastic. There was a little strip there. There was like a skylift or whatever that would take you up this mountain, and it's just incredible. And they had this little strip. It was just such a beautiful place, and the weather and everything. And they had this haunted house.
Yep, mysterious mansion.
But it was like, well, it was a haunted, like a hole in the wall. You'd go in, you'd pay the lady up front, and my folks stayed out there like, I'm not doing that. And I came, and then you walk in this thing, and you sit inside this little theater. It's like a room.
Yeah.
And then a guy with a chainsaw comes out, and lights are flashing, and he's like, ah! And you're like, ah! And I was a little kid. I came out of there like walking like nervously. It was a horror. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I don't do scary stuff, but I think I know which one you're talking about. Depends on when you went there. So,
1987, 88.
Yeah, it was probably Mysterious Mansion. That's the oldest one I could think of. We moved there, I think, in 85. So.
I mean, oh my goodness. I was I was a little kid. I walked out of there, I don't know, like shaking. It was great. It was great. So that's my memory of Gatlinburg. Yeah. So
It's a fun city.
oh yeah, total. I'd love to go back and visit. It's been a long time. So did you enjoy the show?
The Atlanta show?
No, this show.
Oh, this. Oh, I was like, what show? Are we talking about the mansion? Yeah, this was really fun. Like this was definitely really fun, and I mean that genuinely. Like this was a good conversation. I feel like this is a good outlet and a good I feel special. I feel special now.
So does that mean that you?
I've just googled it. Right, there's a lot of words there that are pronounced exactly the same as the English pronunciation.
So hills, like hillbilly and like mountain speak, actually is the closest to British slang in the UK, and actually it meshes together. I did not say that sentence well at all. So.
Yeah, like we say route, and Americans say route.
No.
In Tennessee, yeah.
No, not necessarily.
I say route.
Well, in Tennessee they say route.
Yeah, I say route.
Yeah, but it depends, dude. It goes.
Well, there's hillbilly, there's redneck, and there's mountain. So
Americans are confusing.
Well, so Southern thing, like you've got mountain people who speak with a different kind of a draw. You've got hillbillies who speak with a different kind of draw, and then you've got rednecks who talk with a different kind of draw. So there's a whole plethora of Southern accents, and then you have like Deep South, and they have that really long, like Blanche Devereaux, which is a little exaggerated, but that kind of speak, So there's a whole level of Southern, but yeah.
Yeah, it varies. It's not necessarily, and plus you got to consider that the U.S. is pretty darn huge. I mean, I think that if you were to sort of,
you can fit the UK inside of Texas.
Well, so yeah, so just imagine the so you enjoyed it. Will you come back?
Yes, absolutely. Whenever you guys want to have me on again, this was super fun. Like I really enjoyed it.
We didn't get to talk about David Garnier's fiery nuts on this show.
Whoa.
Well, if you want to tag that on the tail of a show, fiery nut away.
Are those the keychains?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spoke about it on the podcast and we couldn't stop laughing.
Yes, I saw that and I was like, I've got to have those nuts, and I bought the nuts immediately.
Well, wait a second. I mean, that was an anticlimactic situation.
I don't remember the whole story. It was like...
It sure left an impression on JP.
He was forging nuts.
Into skulls. It's something about like putting my nuts in the fire and smashing them and just everything else. And I was like, I need hot smashed metal nuts. Like, I don't remember the whole...
Oh my goodness.
We just couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah. It's pretty
Don't
bad.
listen to Sarah's episode on the Makers International podcast, found at makersinternationalpodcast.com.
Oh boy.
Well, yeah. Before we wrap up, let me ask you. So you have a big presence on Twitch, and are you still doing that, or?
I still am. It's still there. I haven't done it in a while. Okay. I will be back on there though. I will say that I will be back. So I'm going to be doing more Twitch, hopefully.
You've just been busy doing other things, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we can't be everywhere at once. There's so many. I totally get it, I mean, for goodness sakes, there's like a million social media places.
Yeah.
And you do that for a living, too.
Yeah. So it gets to be a bit much. But I'll be back. So it'll be soon.
So are there any last things that last words, thoughts that you'd like to share, places people can, I mean, we have so I encourage you guys out there to check out her YouTube, all the social medias. I've got Twitch on there as well. If you have Twitch, you're probably following her already, but check out wartoothdesign.com. But is there anything else you'd like to add?
Other than I have to pee, that's it.
Well, that's a perfect ending. Just
Yeah,
hold
I
on
mean-
for half a
Yeah,
little.
no, you said it. You nailed it. Like Wartooth Designs. I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet under that. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us. JP, any final words?
No, just
Make
let
it
Sarah
quick.
go pee.
All right. So, guys, thank you for hanging out with us today. We have a lot of fun. I mean, I'm so happy that we interviewed Sarah. We touch on woodworking and aspects. I like the fact that, by the way, do you like how I'm drawing this out, Sarah?
I know, like I'm fixing to just get up. Like, you're killing.
I like the fact that we're
That's how you killed me.
we're bringing in. Go ahead.
He wants to get that Tennessee accent.
I like the fact that we bring in the art aspect and all these things. So we just have some interesting people coming up. Thank you guys for visiting. We shall catch you next week, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great week. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, I said peace. JP, you gotta say peace.
Yeah, don't forget Eloy's got music packs available on his website.
Boom. All right, guys. Bye-bye. Oh wait, she's back. Let's say goodbye.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
No, we drew it out. Boy, that was fast. So listen.
I washed my hands, by the way. I washed my hands.
So we're saying peace out.
Peace out. That was awkward.
Bye, guys.